So I thought maybe for Boy Scout Sunday I could propose 5 new badges. There's a I Love You badge. There's the Time badge. There's the hand-holding badge. It looks like here the cooking badge and present badge. So I wanted to talk about this today for Valentine's Day. It's called the 5 Love Languages. And my daughter Emily told me about this, and my first response was very negative. My first response to most things is negative. I don't know why that is, but I thought, oh no, it's psychobabble, it's another new age. I tried not to be too negative, but I didn't hold out much hope for it. But I went and read about it. There's a link in the YouTube video description. You can click on it later and go to the article. We'll talk about it. But it's an article by Sherry Gordon from the verywellmind.com website. So before we get started, I wanted to mention for Valentine's Day, it's really important that you have flowers and chocolate. That's part of the gift giving, if your spouse is into that. So we have wonderful new Nigene flowers that were done on Friday, I think. And it was Janet Arima, Janet Sakahara, and Karen Nakagiri. And so the flowers look wonderful, especially for Valentine's Day that's coming up. And then the other thing is I brought in chocolates for the Osanaye. They're the mini M&Ms. They're like little pea size, but these are the Valentine's Day versions. There's hearts all over them. So, this is gift giving, right? For the Buddha, out of respect. We give him something very precious and valuable because we're receiving something very precious and valuable. And there's nothing more precious and valuable that I can give than chocolate. So I brought that in. So I wanted to talk about these 5 areas. The article is about how we communicate love and how we receive love. And it's more complicated than I thought. And almost like with Buddhism, I read the article and I identified with it immediately. Like I could sense it was true from my experience. And this is kind of what happens when people convert to Buddhism. It's not that you're overwhelmed by the argumentation or the doctrine or the rules or anything. It's that when you read it, you recognize it as something you've always kind of felt, but you've never heard it expressed or verbalized before. And some people say it's like recognizing an old friend. That's kind of the feeling you have when you come to Buddhism and you begin to, it resonates with you and it seems like it's something that's been lived, but you've never knew it was a thing until you were able to read about it. So, Valentine's Day is quickly approaching for all of us, but what should we do? How should we observe this holiday with our loved ones? Should we tell them how much they mean to us? Spend the day with them? Give them a big hug and hold hands, or sit with them closely? Make them breakfast in bed? Or buy them something special? Now, I guess some people could say you should do all 5. But it's important to know the heavy hitters in this list. It's important to know. It's important to know the love language of yourself and of those around you. It makes a huge difference. It stops us from miscommunicating. It heals hurt feelings. We're not at cross purposes. We're kind of in sync. So this is that article I mentioned. What are the 5 love languages by Sherry Gordon at verywellmind.com. And I mentioned the link is in the YouTube description. So this is what she says in her article. One of the most common relationship issues people face today is the struggle to express love in intentional and meaningful ways to someone else. Nearly everyone wants to show their partner that they care, yet many people struggle to do it in a way that speaks to their heart. If you find that this describes your situation, you may want to learn more about the 5 love languages. History has shown that learning how your partner receives love will help you know the best way to demonstrate your love and caring. So this is a book by Gary Chapman. I sold here millions of copies. It was a #1 bestseller. And the way he came about this is Dr. Chapman spent years taking notes with couples he was counseling when he began to recognize a pattern. What he discovered was that couples were misunderstanding one another and their needs. After going through his notes, he discovered that there are 5 love languages that people may respond to. The likelihood that your partner's love language is the same as yours is very unlikely. So when couples have different primary languages, there are bound to be misunderstandings. So he developed these 5 basic categories that I kind of hinted at my original 5 possible presents for Valentine's Day. The first one's called words of affirmation. So these are people who like to be told. They like to hear it. It's important that they hear the words. I'm a words of affirmation person. I like to be told verbally. That means a lot to me. But when I show love, I do what is called acts of service. So the one you take in is not necessarily the one you give out. So I didn't realize I was doing that, but that's kind of my wheelhouse. Another one is quality time. So spending time with one another. So acts of service isn't the same as quality time because, like, I do dishes for my wife and I clean the house, but I'm doing it when she's not there. So I'm doing acts of service, but it's not really quality time because I'm not spending time with her. So sometimes that was a bit of friction, like I cleaned house all day, but she wasn't there, so that's different. Physical touch, a lot of people like to be hugged, squeezed, hold hands, sit next to each other on the sofa when you watch a movie. Those kinds of things are very important for those types of people. Again, acts of service, having things done for you, getting your car washed or doing dishes or making dinner, those kind of things are very important. And then the other one is receiving or giving gifts is another way of showing. So I asked Linda before I started the service today if I could share this bit of personal information, and she gave me the thumbs up. And so I like to receive words of affirmation, and I show my love through acts of service. Linda likes quality time. Linda likes to do things with me and spend time with me. And so if I'm on my phone texting when we're together, that's like a huge red flag for her because she's a quality time person. And if I'm answering OCPC or planning a service during our quality time, right, that's a big trigger. To me, it's not that big of a deal because I'm not a quality time person. Another thing is she's a gift giver. So she wants quality time, but she likes to give gifts. And her mother was this way too. So my mother-in-law would buy presents all year long for your birthday or Christmas, and they were hidden in her house. And gift givers usually give lots of small gifts. So Linda likes to give lots and lots of small gifts. So if you want like a new car or a new stereo or a new guitar, a gift giver might not go that way because they like to give lots of thoughtful gifts during the year. And, a relative could say, couldn't you take all these gifts and just put them together into one giant gift and get me a new bike? But that's not how gift givers work. So, when you're in your family, and this holds true not just for married couples, but for children, parents, and it's also contextual. You might be a gift giver romantically with your partner, but you might be a quality time person when it comes to your kids. And sometimes I've noticed at funerals, sometimes I've noticed the family has a little bit of friction or anxiety because maybe a relative they were very quiet and they never said it. And they're gone now and they wish they had. But then when they do the remembrances and the personal history, you see that they were acts of service people or quality time people. And that's their way of saying, I love you. That's how they say it. One example I have that really helped me with this story that's a little personal, but it's my story, so I can tell it. My father never or rarely said, I love you. And that was really hard for me because I'm a words of affirmation person. And he would say, you should just know that I love you. I shouldn't have to say it. And I was like, no, you have to say it. That's what makes it real, is when you verbalize it and you commit to it verbally, then it becomes real. But then I realized after reading this article that I had football practice in high school like at 7 in the morning. And so I had to get up like at 6 or 5:30. And everybody stayed in bed and slept, my sister, my mom. But my dad always got up, and he made me like a full-on breakfast. I didn't even ask him, but he was downstairs before I came downstairs, and he was cooking eggs and bacon and pancakes and orange juice and coffee. And so after reading this, I went, oh my gosh, my dad did love me. He just couldn't say it because he was an acts of service person. And it really helped me. That really helped me a lot. So this kind of thing really helps. And it can cause couples to actually break up if they're not aware of the differences in the way they communicate their feelings. So there's even a chart on the internet that shows you the 5 different types of languages, how to communicate those, actions to take, and things to avoid. So, if your spouse is a quality time person and that's not something that you have, you need to make an effort and communicate in a way that they can understand and that they would appreciate. And so this really causes us to be self-aware and self-reflective and aware of the dynamics within our family. And it's really important that you meet the person where they are. So I thought that was really interesting. So this is me talking now. Words of affirmation means that love is expressed verbally, and it is most impactful. Saying I love you means a lot to this type of person. Love is felt and communicated through words. So, maybe that would also be like getting a Valentine's Day card, right? With a really wonderful sentiment in the card. Quality time. People feel loved when others wish to spend time with them. Something as simple as just being together can be very comforting. Love is expressed by taking the time to really be with someone. The actual activity isn't even that important, which is kind of interesting. It's just being together. It's not the event. It's just the time. Physical touch is the expression of love through contact. Sitting close to one another, holding hands, or a hug is most desired by this type of person. The physical closeness of the other person is how love is felt. Acts of service is doing things for other. For example, doing the dishes or cooking a surprise dinner will really be a hit with this type of person. Coming home to a clean house with the laundry done would be a wonderful gift or surprise. Receiving gifts. So this is the small part. No matter how small, they signal that they are thought of and cared for. Oftentimes, many small gifts are often preferable to one large gift. A gift giver will often buy the perfect Christmas gift in April and find it difficult to contain their excitement until December. So, how do relationships benefit from love languages? It promotes selflessness. It helps create empathy when you're aware of the other person and their needs. It helps maintain intimacy because you're communicating. You're not disconnected. So that's very important. It also aids in personal growth. It helps us grow and become more mature human beings. And it also helps us share love in meaningful ways. So, it's really important that when we communicate, we're using the right medium for the person we're trying to communicate with. And so, we always have to do this on the Buddhist path. We have to be aware of how our language is received. I've often said, I don't really care too much about how somebody meant something. I care a lot more about how it was heard, So you could say, this is one of the bad apologies. I talked about bad apologies last night at Shotsuki. A lot of times people say, I'm really sorry that your feelings were hurt by what I said. Or I'm sorry that you took it that way. And it's not a good apology. It's almost like the problem is on their side, and you're sorry that they misunderstood you. So those aren't good apologies. And also, we should be motivated to speak in the language that's most effective because we want to communicate with the other person. We have a message that we want to transmit, and it would seem reasonable that we would pick the most appropriate and effective way to communicate that message to the other person, right? Like, if I have something of value I want to express, I'd want to do it in a way that was really effective. So this is kind of the caveat. These 5 general categories were developed by Dr. Gary Chapman, an author and counselor. These are not meant to be a scientific means of diagnosis, but as a general guidelines to help us navigate our relationship with others. So, it's not a diagnosis, it's just guidelines and things to keep in mind. Without this awareness, we can hurt each other without intending to. And that would be, I think most times we do hurt each other without intention. We're just unaware. It is also surprising to learn that these languages are not bidirectional. I kind of mentioned this earlier. For example, you may want others to express their love to you through words of affirmation, but you show love to others by doing acts of service. So this is me. This is actually my profile. I like to be told while doing projects, chores, or errands for others. It is also important to note that these categories are not fixed. We all drift in and out of each of these 5 languages depending on context. This is because we show many different types of love to many different types of people: our partner, our relatives, our friends, and even our coworkers. So, some key points to remember. These love languages also apply with your kids, your coworkers, and even your friends, but they may vary somewhat. You may prefer quality time, but with your sister, you prefer words of affirmation. Your love language can also change occasionally. For instance, if you had a bad day at work, you may prefer a hug from your partner rather than an encouraging word. The key is to regularly communicate and practice exactly what your partner needs. So now I can show you my little possible Boy Scout badges. I love you is words of affirmation. The alarm clock is quality time. 2 little fingers touching is touch. The cooking one is acts of service. And of course, the present is gift giving. So once you know each other's love language, it is easy to put it into action. It just takes a little bit of effort and intentionality. Remember, healthy relationships aren't born. They're developed through attention and effort. You can enhance your relationship by learning your partner's love language and putting it into practice. And if you both are committed, you will find yourself not only deeper in love, but also in a happy and fulfilling relationship. So I wanted to give you a couple more examples. I thought this one was kind of funny. This is the 5 love languages as applied to tacos. So, words of appreciation. Your tacos are delicious. Acts of service. I made you tacos. Receiving gifts. Here's a taco. Quality time. Let's go out for tacos together. Physical touch. Let me hold you like a taco. So it's not hard. It's pretty easy, right? You could you could still have tacos, but you could just riff on that theme. So I wanted to add the Buddhist part. I thought about this a little bit, and it seemed like it fit really nicely. How do we engage with Buddhism? What's our spiritual language? How do we connect with Buddhism? It's different for different people. Sometimes we call this a keyhole. There's different keyholes into Buddhism, and different people come to Buddhism in different ways. And so I wanted to suggest 5 Buddhist practices that line up maybe with our 5 love languages. So words of affirmation. For me, that would be saying Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Quality time. I think attending temple is really important. I think we've discovered that after COVID. Somebody told me the other day that when you come in here, you're immersed and all your senses are bombarded. You have the sound of chanting, the smell of incense. You have the sight of the altar. You have personal contact with your Sangha. I mean, this is important, and this is how we connect on the path. Physical touch, I think, would be having the body involved, sitting in meditation, putting our hands together in gassho, bowing, getting the body involved. Acts of service, we do this a lot at OCBC. Volunteering your time. It's actually a practice. It's a selfless practice. When we have our festivals, we hope Hanamatsuri is coming up in April. When I first came here, it was Hanamatsuri in 1997, I told my wife that it seemed like a hive of bees. Like, I didn't know anything yet about Buddhism, and it was my first time I visited, but it seemed like everything was getting done, but it seemed like nobody was in charge. And an OCBC person thought that was like a negative comment, but I meant that very positively. It's like ants or bees. Everybody is selfless. Everybody's at the same level. There's no hierarchy, and everybody just kind of moves as one organism. And I just was kind of stunned that, and nobody had on important, like there wasn't like the important people in red vests and the low-level people in gray vests. I mean, everybody was equal, and everybody was working, and everyone was happy. And I just found that really an amazing, I've never seen that before. I mean, at my work, it was not like that, right? We have very strong hierarchies, and a lot of people are frustrated, and I just found that an amazing thing. So, volunteering time is a selfless act, becoming one with the Sangha. Receiving gifts. So, we gave gifts of flowers and chocolate to the Buddha because we are receiving the gift of the Dharma. So we're receiving something very precious. We donate to the Osaisen box because we want to say thank you. It's not fee for service. It's not a charge, but it's this idea of giving back something. And in Japan, this gift-giving culture is really important. That's, in Japan, you might say that's a gift-giving love language, is that everybody's always giving gifts back and forth. I told you that story about Reverend Miyagi. I gave him a gift, Osebo gift at the end of the year, and I think it might have been $100, or it might have been $50, but I thought it was a really nice gift. I gave him a gift card for $50, and because of the gift-giving thing, a week later he gave me a gift, and I opened it up and it was $100. And I thought, if I gave him 10,000, he would give me 20 grand. I thought, I could use this. I could really use this. I mean, that's 100% return on your investment. And then I thought, well, that's not very Buddhist of me. But that's the kind of thing that happens in this tradition, is this gift giving is developed. And one of the fears in our country for Buddhism is we have membership, where you pay your yearly membership. But in Japan, the churches kind of ran more on just a gift-giving kind of thing. Like people would donate, people would leave food, or they would leave things of value to the temple as a thank you. So it was more of that kind of a relationship. So we've tried to develop that at some of our services, is try to, it's not the amount, but it's just the act of giving something back in honor of something very valuable that's been received. So I had to go back to Emily and say I was sorry, I was wrong. This was a great article, great website. And I wrote this up in the Korin for February. I wrote an article. And she gave it to her, one of her counselors at school. And the counselor read it. And I was really happy. She said that the love languages is a real thing. It's not a diagnosis, but it's very helpful for couples. And she said that she wondered how many couples have broken up through time just based on not knowing each other's love language. It could be that simple. And she said she really liked the story about my dad, that's how it works, right? I was expecting that, I wanted something from him that he couldn't give me, and I wasn't accepting what he was giving me. I wanted it on my terms and not on his terms. And for me, in Buddhism, just shifting our perspective and looking at things from a different direction, to me, is the whole thing. It's the way we look at life, the way we orient ourselves, and the way we think about things it makes all the difference in the world in how we experience our lives. And to me, that's what Buddhist practice tries to get us to do. And that's why we listen to the Dharma. It perfumes our mind, it changes our focus, and it changes the way we think. And that's been my experience of Buddhism, and it's where I've gained the most value in my life. So you have, I think, 8 days now to prepare for Valentine's Day. So your practice, you have to go home and think about this, and think about what would your spouse like, right? Don't get her what you want, get her what she would want, and maybe put this into practice. And if you're not sure, just do, like I said, you could just do all 5. So please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Naman Dabuts, Naman Dabuts, Naman Dabuts. All right, thank you very much.